What's going on, guys? It's Charles Cerritho, owner of Function Factory Performance, and I'm here to bring you another episode of the Factory Academy. Just as a warning, guys, this video was filmed an extremely long time ago, but we've got some clips in here from about 2 weeks ago, so just kind of bear with me and I'll walk you through all the steps to help you install your new clutch. We'll be covering two different competition clutches in this video. Both are installed the exact same way, but serve different purposes. First up is our competition clutch 215 MPC twin disc for the Mustang Ecoboost. Made specifically for the racetrack, this clutch is very unforgiving, but will put the power down when needed on the drag strip and drifting. This clutch features two full-face ceramic discs that will violently propel your Mustang every time. Trust me, I know. This assembly is covered by a black anodized rigid hub pressure plate that is able to clamp down and hold over 900 foot-pounds of torque. Connected to the crankshaft is a proprietary competition clutch lightweight flywheel that is provided in the package. Personally, I'd like it a little lighter, but Comp wanted to maintain that near OEM drivability and feeling. All in all, the entire assembly weighs about 40 pounds. Second up is our competition clutch 240 MPC twin disc, and Comp has gone ahead and provided us with two different materials, a ceramic puck disc and an organic full-face disc for our choosing. I decided to go with the organic full-face as I will be daily driving this car. My full review will come later in this video, but I 100% recommend this clutch for anyone looking to upgrade their stock unit. This clutch will handle over 650 wheel horsepower with ease on the organic disc set and drive near like OEM. Alright guys, let's just get right into this. And the first thing that we're always going to want to do is disconnect that negative terminal. We don't want any risk of short circuiting and no risk of electrical shock on ourselves. And a big shout out to Justin Drindle for making this install happen, as well as Forza Automotive for doing the second install. Before we go up in the air, we need to remove that shifter boot and plastic garnish. Be careful when pulling up on that plastic garnish, as it could break the tabs. And just as predicted, we broke ours. So what are you going to need for this install? I highly recommend that you do this on a twin or a 4-post lift. The MT82 is a pig and a half, and I do not recommend that you do this on your garage floor, as you could get seriously hurt. The tools that you're going to need for this is going to be a lift, a transmission jack, a friend if you have one, a set of 6 to 19 millimeter socket sets. You'll definitely want an air ratchet and impact gun, some extensions, a screw jack if you can't find that friend, and some banging jams. Justin's going to start by removing my full-race downpipe and exhaust, and as you can tell, my flex pipe has seen better days. Removing the exhaust is going to allow us access to the drive shaft, and Justin's going to start here on the transmission side of the drive shaft. There is a nut behind the bolt, and you will need to hold it with the wrench as shown. Make sure to leave one nut and bolt so the assembly does not fall, and if it does, well, you just bought yourself a new drive shaft. Go ahead and remove the carrier bearing as shown. And go ahead and remove the rear end side of the drive shaft. At this point, you're able to remove all the bolts, and the drive shaft will sag, allowing you to fully remove it. To start the process of removing the transmission, we're going to start by disconnecting the downpipe bracket from the transmission. As shown here, Justin will be removing the wire harness on the driver's side. Make sure to get every single one of those plugs, as we don't want any issues when we're about to yank that transmission out. And with the starter disconnected, it is okay to go ahead and pull that starter off now. And if you want to go ahead and leave that hanging there, there is a very large gauge wire holding that starter there. Go ahead and remove the shifter linkage from the chassis as shown. So this is the time you're going to want to grab a friend and your transmission jack and wrap your transmission either the chains provided or ratchet strap. Just make sure that the transmission is secure in place on the jack. We're halfway through this install, so let's start by pulling our transmission bolts out of the rear bell housing.
and move to the front and remove those nuts.
Here's the OEM Mustang Ecoboost clutch. Visually, everything looks decent for about 15,000 miles on this unit. Using a pry bar, hold the flywheel and remove all the bolts holding the pressure plate to the flywheel. Discard these as you cannot reuse them. Carefully remove the pressure plate and disc. With the flywheel exposed, we can see hot spots that have started to form from my clutch dumps, drifting, and very aggressive driving. Remove the bolts from the flywheel and throw them away as they are torqued to yield as well. Competition clutch will provide you with new bolts, so no need to worry. We're about halfway through our install now, and it's time to start reassembling things, so let's get at it, guys. Justin's going to begin by grabbing that lightweight flywheel. So we're going to go ahead and do this install in tandem. So what you're going to see here is going to be our 215 flywheel up first, and then next our 240 flywheel. Run your new flywheel bolts in just snug and grab your torque wrench. And you're going to be torquing this in a pattern as shown in 3 stages: 37 foot-pounds, 59 foot-pounds, and finally 83 foot-pounds. Assemble your twin disc with the pressure plate facing up. Go ahead and lay your pressure ring, disc A, a floater plate, and disc B. They are laser etched if you get confused. Slide the end of the clutch tool into the input shaft hole while lining up the pressure plate to the flywheel. And with provided Loctite from Competition Clutch, prepare your Allen bolts for installation. Install these bolts hand tight. Grab your torque wrench once again and torque in a star pattern to 18 foot-pounds of torque and no more. And in this shot, we just want to show you what the organic full-face disc is going to look like on the 240 MPC. After getting your Allen bolts torqued in a star pattern, it's finally time to put our transmission back in. We're about halfway through our install now, and it's time to start reassembling things, so let's get at it, guys. As you did with disassembly, we're going to do the exact same process in reassembling, as we're going to want to go ahead and get that transmission all the way up inside the tunnel and even with the block. With your transmission back into place, let's go ahead and just follow our reassembly steps here as we did disassembling it, and go ahead and reinstall your bell housing bolts front and rear. Reinstall the 10mm bolt that holds the linkage in place at the front and bolt up the shifter assembly in the chassis. Reinstall your starter and reinstall the wire harness, making sure to connect everything and mounting it back onto the transmission. Reinstall your drive shaft, carrier bearing, and exhaust. It's time to bring her down from the lift, and finally we're going to reinstall our plastic bezel and shift knob, and that's all that's left. Actually, I lied. We've got one more step. The Mustang does have a self-bleeding slave, so all you're going to need to do is pump this clutch about a solid 100 times. So since Justin put all this hard work in, we're going to let him drive the car first, and let's see how it goes for him. So what are my first impressions? This clutch is loud, it's violent, the pedal is very heavy, and it's an on and off switch. What does this equate to? This. So we're going to cover 3 talking points about both of these clutches here: noise, pedal feel, and the overall performance of it. And we're going to start with the 215 MPC. So the 215 will make noise at idle, and don't be alarmed as this is normal. Sounds will be heard during engagement, again, that is normal. And I did state that this clutch is for pure racetrack use and will provide no slip during those high load conditions. As far as the pedal feel on the 215, it is one of the heaviest pedals I've ever felt on any clutch. And that's not a bad thing, I guess, but it does let you know that it's definitely there. You're going to need at least 85 pounds of pressure to push that clutch pedal all the way down, and congrats, you're going to be doing leg day every day with this thing. As far as the engagement, it's pretty tolerable during stop and go, but if you're a newcomer to the manual transmission, this is not the clutch for you. This clutch is pretty violent when you're not engaging it properly, and I drove this clutch through California, and I do not recommend it for high traffic daily driving. To touch on the performance aspects of the 215 clutch, it is an absolute monster when it comes to drifting, road racing, and drag racing. I found this clutch was there at every hard shift and every clutch kick when I needed it. Additionally, we did get to take the car out on the drag strip, and it was there every time I needed it for my hard launches. We never had to deal with any overheating, it didn't make any obnoxious smells, and especially we could do at least a solid 30 minutes on the track with no worries. So moving over to the 240 NPC clutch, there's almost little to no noise during idle, but there's a little chatter during engagement, but honestly no one's ever going to know you have an aftermarket twin disc in your Mustang. The pedal is absolutely fantastic, and I think it's actually better than OEM. And the pressure that is needed to press this pedal down is going to be near stop. Engagement is a little higher than expected, but once the car starts to move, it's all cake from there. This clutch is definitely friendly to all types of drivers, and I've been daily driving this clutch for about 4,000 miles, and I've done about 4 track sessions on it. And I'm more than impressed with the performance and drivability of it. Speaking of the performance, just like the 215 counterpart, this clutch is always there when I need it. I'm able to dance it around when I'm drifting, keeping those RPMs up so we can get that turbo spool. And unlike the ceramic disc on the 215, it really doesn't have that hard hit, but when you clutch kick, you definitely know that clutch is there and it gets those wheels spinning. And if you happen to slip the clutch, you're definitely going to be rewarded with that very nasty smell, as I did put those organic discs in. So to sum it up, guys, we showed you how to install a competition twin disc clutch in your 2015 to 2019 Ford Mustang Ecoboost, and I gave you my driving impressions on both clutches. It's as simple as this. If you want an all-out race car, the 215 is a no-brainer. But if you're looking for a clutch that's going to handle about 600 wheel and you're going to daily drive the car, the 240 is your clear winner. Thanks again, everyone, for watching this episode of the Factory Academy, and especially thank you to Competition Clutch for providing us that 215 and 240 twin disc for us to test out. Additionally, thank you to all our sponsors that have made this journey possible. I'm Charles Cerrito, owner of Function Factor Performance, and we're commissioning the future of automotive part sales.